Alright, you guys, it is finally time for my long overdue rant of Satan itself, Warner Brothers. Well, okay, Konami is Satan, but Warner Brothers is like Satan's stepchild, so that puts it in sort of a relevant sense. Anyway, pretty much, if you are a DC fan, or you like Mortal Kombat, and something bad has happened to any of those properties, you can bet that's Warner Brothers' fault. Unless we're talking about comics, which usually that falls on DC, but I digress. So we're going to start off with the 90s. Now, before the 90s, the Batman 1989 film came out by Tim Burton. And everybody loved this movie. And I still really like the movie. I think it's really good. I mean, it's a little bit different than the Batman we have now, obviously, but it was still good. It was based more on the original Bob Kane Batman that killed people, so it was still good. Anyway, so everybody was going crazy about that, and the Dark Knight Returns comic, and everyone's like, whoa, Batman's so cool. And because of that, we got the legendary Batman the Animated Series. And I don't really think I need to say much more on that because it's Batman the Animated Series. Come on, guys. But what you probably didn't know was that Batman the Animated Series got canceled. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, it got 4 seasons, so it doesn't seem like it got canceled. Everything seemed to end okay. Well, in truth, not the case. You see, Warner Brothers, when they give their cartoons out, they say, okay, you have this many seasons. They usually give you like 1 season at a time. And they say, you have this many episodes, go do your thing. So what they did back then was they made cartoons so that even if it got canceled, it would still feel complete, more or less. Because they wouldn't make overarching stories like you might see in a cartoon nowadays. What they do now, or what they used to do, was that they would just make them more episodic. So it actually kind of makes Batman the Animated Series hold up better because all the episodes were more self-contained. Even though there was some continuity, it wasn't like, some huge story arc that happened, and then next season there'd be another huge story arc with random little stories in between. Nowadays you'll see the big story arcs, and when something gets canceled, it really pisses people off because they don't see the end of stories like with Young Justice, but we'll get to Young Justice. So anyway, Batman the Animated Series got canceled after the 4th season. And, the producers and creators themselves have said, we never knew when it was going to end. We just made episodes that we thought would be really enjoyable, and that's what they did, and they succeeded really well. But then Warner Brothers said, we want a Batman that kids can relate to. One that can crack jokes and smile, and we got to put him in high school. So, basically, they wanted to have Spider-Man be in the DC Comics. And since Nightwing wasn't good enough, apparently, they came up with Batman Beyond. Now, if they tried to do that this day and age, it would probably not work because, well, first, it would not have Bruce Timm and all of his crew. And secondly, the politically correct nature of the world would probably make the cartoons suck. And cartoons are just not as good as they used to be, aside from some rare instances where they're actually really good. But Batman Beyond actually ended up being really good, which is surprising because very rarely do you see an idea like that really kick off, and Batman Beyond is one of my favorite animated series, like, ever. It's so good. I love Batman Beyond. I own the entire series. It's actually the only DC animated... No, I own all of Young Justice as well. I own all of Young Justice, and I own all of Batman Beyond. Those are the only two. Not saying that I don't like the other ones more, it's just that's how it worked out. But anyway, Batman Beyond was awesome. It came out with one of the best DC animated movies ever, Return of the Joker. You guys know how good that movie is. It was so good. I'm glad they decided to make a movie on it, honestly. And we got some cool comic books with it that we are still getting to this day. We've gotten various video game references. Hopefully, one day, we get a live-action movie, but, until then, fingers crossed. But, as you guys probably figured out, after the third season of Batman Beyond, it got canned. And the episode structure of Batman Beyond was a little bit different than Batman the Animated Series, because with Batman the Animated Series, the seasons were a lot more like the same number of episodes. With Batman Beyond, it was like 13 episodes for the first season, 26 for the second, 13 for the third, and we're done. Now, what was good though was that they had the same team working on Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, and then Justice League. And because of that, they got to tie up some loose ends that they didn't get to touch on in the animated series. So that was good that they still got to do that. But if they hadn't been working on those, we would have never known. Which sucks, because Epilogue, which is the Justice League Unlimited episode, if you haven't seen it, see it, definitely. We'll watch that whole first arc of Justice League Unlimited before that. But Epilogue is just such a good Batman Beyond episode. It's amazing. It's so good. But anyway, so we also had around the same time as Batman Beyond, well, we had Justice League, obviously. And at the same time, we had Teen Titans and Static Shock, which Bruce Timm obviously didn't really have anything to do with those, but they were still really good. But they also got canceled, which I'm sure you guys realize they got canceled because they ended very abruptly, to say the least. With Static Shock, the last episode was when, God, what were the names? The guy with the firepower, Heat something, I can't remember. And then Ebon, they fused, and Static fought him, and it was the end. But it kind of left on a cliffhanger. We never got another one. I really don't know why we didn't get another one, to be quite honest. Because Static was a really big TV show, and I really enjoyed it personally. I know a lot of people did. Same with Teen Titans. Teen Titans was a huge hit, because not only did it hit the DC demographic and the young children demographic, it hit the anime crowd too. And yeah, that's a big crowd. So kudos to DC. But again, with Teen Titans, even though it was massively popular, and it's still going with Teen Titans Go, which I don't really count as a continuation, but still it's the same property more or less, so that shows how popular it is, that it's still successful now, even in a really sucky TV show. But anyway, we ended Teen Titans, the original show, with Terra coming back, and we didn't get any answers on that either. You had to go read the comic book for that, because they didn't get another season. Unbelievable, right? They didn't get another season. That sucks. And that's the nature of Warner Brothers. See, it doesn't matter how many people like the show. It doesn't matter how much investment there is, how many views, how much money it's making. No. Warner Brothers says, and stuff happens. Like, they do something, and they're pretty much like a god over it. Anything DC. Whatever they say goes. And it sucks. Now, of course, we also had Justice League, like I said, but it again got canceled. Now, the good thing about Justice League, is that they did get to end off on a really, really good note. I'm thinking that they probably gave them some sort of heads up as to like, hey, this is the final season, and they ended it with a bang, which is really cool. I liked how they did that, and it was kind of sad because it was the end of a really great era, because to me, the Timmverse, or the whatever you want to call it, Bruce Timm's animated universe, is the best universe we've had for any sort of DC Marvel comic property and an adaptation, like animated movies, anything. That was the best universe in my opinion. Better than Marvel's. So that's saying a lot for me. I know people are going to be like, whoa, you can't compare movies and cartoons and all this stuff, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, so they canceled, as you guys can see, they canceled their biggest shows. Batman, I forgot to mention Superman. They did have Superman, which was another really good series. Canceled that, which should have definitely went on longer. I think it only had, like 2 seasons? It's crazy. Really short. I guess because they were trying to do the Justice League, but whatever. And Teen Titans got canceled, which people are still pissed off about that one. Justice League, Static, everything got canceled by Warner Brothers. It sucks. And if you guys thought, they're just doing that with Young Justice and Green Lantern, heck no. Heck no. But we're getting to that soon. Now we're going to jump into the movies, and we're going to segue back into the animated stuff and then talk about the games. Now, the movies, as you guys know, I guess there's really not a ton to talk about, but basically the main thing that Warner Brothers has done to really hinder DC is that they haven't let them make any movies aside from Batman and Superman. Now, I think, was there ever a Wonder Woman movie? I don't think there was. There was a Wonder Woman TV show, and I think that was it. There was just Batman and Superman, and that's the way it is today. They just now made a plan for a universe. That is ridiculous. DC has so many awesome heroes. And I love Batman. And I love Superman. But Green Lantern's awesome in that bomb. Not because Green Lantern's bad, because the writing was just awful. And the CG was too much. The Flash is awesome. People love the TV show. So that's obviously showing DC that, hey, people actually like the Flash. Newsflash. Aquaman becoming a lot of people's new favorite. Teen Titans, God, how did they not have a movie yet? Seriously, Teen Titans is awesome. Justice League, and again another one. Wonder Woman, how they not make a Wonder Woman movie is beyond me as well. And the list goes on and on. But they only have confidence in, well, actually mainly just Batman, which, it makes sense why, because Batman sells so well and so many people love him because he's like one of the greatest superheroes ever. But still, they need to have more faith and create a universe. And after Marvel finally had the balls to do it, then DC's like, oh, so that's okay. Okay, I guess we can do more than just Batman. But even though we're gonna make a universe, let's throw Batman and everything too. That makes sense. I mean, I guess from a marketing sense it makes sense, but still, it's stop being like that. Come on, I want to say DC, but Warner Brothers, get your act together, man. Get it together. But now we're going to go back, and we're going to talk about the ones that everybody is still pissed off about. Green Lantern and Young Justice getting canceled. Now, they both did pretty well. Now, they weren't as big as hits as, like, Teen Titans and Batman and all that stuff, but really, there's two big reasons for that, okay? Well, actually, I'd say three. Number one, TV is not nearly as big as it used to be. Everybody used to love watching TV. Now people get on the internet. So the thing to do now is to post them online. But they're behind the times, so they don't do that. Number two, the constant hiatuses. Now, some of them were planned. In the middle of the series, well, the season, they would usually go on a hiatus and then come back and finish the episodes. And that was fine because that was planned, and they would usually tell people, which, they should make some sort of infomercial for the kids to be like, hey, the series is coming back later, or make a trailer for it or something. But yeah, they really, you could tell Warner Brothers literally did not care about these shows at all. And their marketing sucked as well with the toys and stuff. Like, they blamed it on toy sales, and I'm sorry, but that was totally Warner Brothers' fault because no one even knew they existed. So yeah, you guys suck. And the third reason is because, well, the hours for the TV shows were horrendous. They were early in the morning, which nobody would be up to watch them then, and if they were up, they would be at work. Because, yes, kids watch cartoons, obviously, but a big part of the DC fan base is older people, like teenagers, young adults, well, actual adults, old adults now that have grown up with the DC comics. It's like, people love to watch this stuff, and if a TV show is good, it doesn't matter if it's animated or live action, it's still going to be good. And some of my, probably, actually, all my favorite TV shows are animated, either from Japan or from, the United States or wherever they send it off to get animated from. So that says a lot for me, but they just treated Young Justice and Green Lantern so terrible. And it sucks because the creators of the show have went out of their way to say, hey, we want this to keep going. Please voice your opinions. We want the show to come back. But no matter what we do, no matter how much people complain, how much they try and fix stuff, Warner Brothers, being the arrogant little pricks that they are, don't listen to anyone but themselves. Which is sad because when you look at something like Young Justice that has such a massive fan base, it could have been so big if they just handled it better and kept it going a little bit longer. Young Justice could have been huge. But instead they squandered it, like idiots. And then they throw out a video game which is horribly made, and then they say, oh, you want Young Justice to continue? Go buy this piece of junk that we invested like 2 hours of our time into. Yeah, no thanks. Sorry, I don't want it back that bad. But anyway, getting off of Young Justice and Green Lantern, because God knows I've talked about Young Justice like a ton on this channel already, we're going to get into the video games, which I think pisses people off just as much as Young Justice, to be quite honest. And I gotta say, I agree. It sucks what they do to video games. So, we're going to look into the big ones, starting with Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, Batman Arkham Asylum, before it came out, a lot of people didn't have faith in it. Now, when I saw the gameplay of it, I was instantly into it. I was like, okay, give me this game now. It looks awesome. And it was awesome. It was a great game. Now, this game came out after The Dark Knight, so we knew that Batman was huge then. Everybody knew it. Everybody was loving Batman again. Well, I mean, they never stopped loving him, but the older 90s movies from Joel Schumacher was trying to kind of kill the vibe, but Christopher Nolan brought it back in force, and The Dark Knight is still a lot of people's like favorite movie, so that says a lot. And because of that, well, I think because of that, we got these Batman games, and I mean, it certainly affected it partially because, come on, The Dark Knight was freaking massive. And these games came out, and a lot of people like to blame the DLC on Rocksteady. And if you just look at Batman Arkham Asylum, you can see that that was not the case. Why? Look at how much DLC it had. Yes, it had an exclusive Plays the Joker on PS3, but you know, that was around the time that Sony was trying to get a lot of exclusives. They were doing that to everybody, basically. So, they still do it today. So, it's not really anything new for them to do that. So, aside from that, and actual legitimate DLCs, and there were like, what, like 2 or 3 of them that came out, there weren't really a lot. So, a lot of the stuff that was in the game came out. There was one pre-order exclusive for GameStop, and that was it. And we all know that that's a bunch of BS. That's a part of the market too. So clearly Rocksteady's the innocent ones that just want to make a good Batman game. And Warner Brothers, see, they didn't have a lot of faith in this game because they didn't really do this whole huge, massive DLC, get it here for this, get it here for that, until Arkham City. Now, when Arkham City was coming out, oh boy, you bet Warner Brothers was ripping that game to shreds for DLC. Now, it was a great game. I loved Arkham City, even more than I loved Arkham Asylum, which is crazy because I love that game. But the DLC, oh man, it was ridiculous. It was good, granted, but it was definitely supposed to be part of the package. We had the Robin pre-order DLC, we had the Nightwing pre-order DLC, we had the Catwoman pre-order DLC, we had the Joker's Carnival Challenge DLC, we had the limited edition, we had... Did I hit everything? I don't know, there was so much DLC, it was crazy. And then they came out with more, which was actually good, like the Iceberg... Oh yeah, the Iceberg Lounge, that was a pre-order DLC too, wasn't it? Yeah. So... aside from like, I think one new Predator map, I don't think there was actual DLC for this game. It was all just taken away from the game and then resold. Oh, the costume packs too, that was resold. That was dirty. Oh, sorry, I just hit the mic there. But the game was still great, but you could tell that Warner Brothers, oh, they really wanted that money from Batman. They knew it sold, so they knew people would buy that DLC. And some of you might be saying, well, it could have been Rocksteady. Well, look no further than Mortal Kombat. because Mortal Kombat 9 had some DLC, to say the least. Now, it didn't have a ton. It had, you know, the standard 4 DLC characters that we're used to by now, and it had some costume packs, which were a part of the main game that were taken out and then shoved back in with the DLC code, but you know how that works. And then we had the Injustice DLC, which was more or less the same thing. But it got really crazy when Mortal Kombat X came out, because we had an exclusive character as pre-order DLC. Now, that wasn't so bad because it was like a day one edition that everybody could get their hands on, so you know, that wasn't so bad, but it was still DLC. But then, on top of all the other normal DLC that we're used to in Mortal Kombat, we got microtransactions. Oh yeah, microtransactions. And we know that this wasn't because of Ed Boon and his team, because look at how many Mortal Kombat games they've come out with, and all their other DC fighting games. None of those had microtransactions until this one right here. So, Warner Brothers shows their evil hand once again. But, of course, we're not done yet, because Arkham Origins, which I didn't even really like that game very much, it had pre-order DLC and other stuff like that. And then we get to the mother load, Batman Arkham Knight. Now, a lot of people were pissed off with this one's DLC. And it's easy to see why. Because when you look at it, it's like, you know, it seems like that should have been part of the main game. And it should have. And it would have, except for Warner Brothers. Because they pay attention only when it concerns money. Key example. What's the newest DLC that just came out? The challenge maps. Guess how many people were pissed off when challenge maps weren't in the base game? I can tell you, a whole ton of people. Now, as far as this whole AR thing, was that Warner Brothers or Rocksteady? I'm leaning on more towards Rocksteady, but as far as actually keeping the challenge maps out of the game, that was Warner Brothers. I can guarantee you that. Because Rocksteady would have never done that. Because Asylum had challenge maps, and they're not that stupid. They have, if you look at their games, everything gets upgraded. Every little thing. Even Batman's cape. They spent years working on his cape. You think they're going to take out the challenge maps? No. That was Warner Brothers. So point the finger where it belongs, people. Because I understand you're mad. Point it where it belongs. And of course, they did a lot of other pre-order. My God. The pre-orders got out of control with Batman Arkham Knight. We had Harley Quinn pre-order, which was universally everywhere. We had the Red Hood, which really pissed me off because I love Red Hood, and that was at GameStop, and I am not shopping there. Know that. And then we had the prototype Batmobile, which no one gave a crap about, from Walmart. And then we had the various map packs, with the new 52 map pack on the collector's edition and the limited edition and the premium edition and the digital premium edition. God, there were just so many editions of that game. Like, come on. And then one of them, the Batmobile version, didn't even come out, which, wow, that's just bad. God, what else did they have? They had so much stuff, and what's really funny is that they had exclusives for PC. That's a funny one because everyone's playing that one. But yeah, as you guys can tell, they got really, really carried away. And everybody got pissed off. And I believe they also did something with DLC with Shadows of Mordor. But I never really got looking into that game or played it or anything, so I don't know. But it's Warner Brothers, so I know that they did, so I'm just going to throw that out there. And if you guys have played that or know anything about it, feel free to comment below, let me know what exactly happened. So, in short of this rather long video, one of my longer videos, we can see that Warner Brothers is responsible for everything that's ever happened in anything DC or Mortal Kombat. Because they've done everything evil. And if you have any complaints with Batman Arkham Knight, aside from the narrative, which, you know, that's on Rocksteady, I would say, you know, actually, the boss fights that might be Warner Brothers too, because there's the Season of Infamy. Suspicious. And that got announced, I think that got announced before the game came out, if I'm not mistaken. And the Batgirl DLC, that got announced months before the game. And they should have had enough time to finish that one and put it in the game, but no. They sold it separate, and it was not worth it. It was not very good. So, again, if you've got a problem with Arkham Knight aside from maybe some of the narrative story mode stuff, which obviously they poured their heart and soul into, then there you go. You have Warner Brothers to blame. If you are mad that Young Justice got prematurely canceled, or Teen Titans, or any of those shows, Warner Brothers. If you're mad that there has not been a DC Cinematic Universe until Man of Steel, blame Warner Brothers. Yes, so obviously there are other parties involved with this stuff, but Warner Brothers, being the dictative overlords that they are responsible for pretty much everything. So anyway, I think that about wraps this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you sat through this video, you guys are champs. So thank you. I very much appreciate it. And no, I did not intend to make this that long, but there was just so much to cover, and there's actually still stuff I didn't cover. So yeah, there's plenty more on Warner Brothers. Don't worry about that. But anyway, that's all I had for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later.